The new generation of prank channels is a generation of creators that don't always make the best decisions. However, have you been paying attention to the shift in content that's been producing lately? We all see that it went from the classic bucket of water over door prank to just plain disrespecting people. The shift came after creators like Danny Duncan started changing the genre. And because of creators like Danny, it began a new era of bold creators, which I deem the fearless, but most deem as the menace. The Google definition of a menace is a person that isn't subscribed to Siah. It's a person or thing that is likely to cause harm, a threat, or danger. But let's be honest here. Is there really anything threatening to the public about your favorite creators? Gideon, Adrian Harding, or even Balin Levine? See, I've noticed that there seems to be a new trend that the previous mentioned creators have separated from. For example, Gideon and crew risk their well-being in order to harmlessly harass others, sleeping at WNBA games, exerting a lot of energy towards the public, or just pulling on people's strings.
Well, ma'am, I have a suggestion.
These are a prime example of how modern prank channels are supposed to be. But when you try a little too hard to be like your favorite creators, you realize that you can't replicate their formula. What will get you noticed? Disrespect, which is something the creator Mob is really known by his own fan base to do. Even some of his own audience tends to show a bit of sympathy for how Mob sometimes treats people he interacts with.
I've been through a rough patch in my life too.
You're being really disrespectful, and you should grow up, actually.
In his content, he crashes into people's carts, degrades customers posing as an employee, and importantly, he risks his safety at an adolescent age.
Why do you have a knife out?
You need to leave now.
But maybe I'm a boomer, because I don't really enjoy this type of content. And I don't think a lot of people enjoy it as well. Having 6 total videos posted, he actually blew up fairly fast. And over 100,000 subscribers is nothing to really laugh about. When observing his content, there have been numerous times where he would really push people to and beyond their edge.
Please pull it.
Get out the store.
What are you looking at, Jack? Looking at me funny. We are walking. Yeah, keep biking, Jack. I'm just playing,
And unfortunately, that cultivated a fan base that supports it. While he is disrespectful on a talkative and disruptive level, I don't believe he's as disrespectful as the creator Mizzy is. After all, running off with an elderly lady's dog just goes to show the levels that he went to for attention. Mizzy was a content creator that aspired to be like the greats. But like many of the other upcoming content creators that we see, he also copied the same formula with the new Menace content. I mean, Mizzy could have kept it simple. He could have did a fart spray and elevator prank. He could have moaned in ears, but instead, he chose to enter a stranger's home, not only startling and potentially endangering the family, including children, but also putting his life at stake, all for clout. Let me ask you this question. Now, what would you do if a random stranger walked up into your crib? And let's take it a little step further, suppose they were black. See what I'm getting at? But luckily, it ended off bad and not horrible. Mizzy survived, and there was no threat to his life, but there was indeed deserved backlash for this attempted stunt. The backlash was seen worldwide, and it got him coverage from content creators like Penguinzo and even local news stations.
I had my own remorse, and I already.
You don't have any remorse, do you?
What do you mean? Okay, then whatever you.
To you, it's all a bit of a.
And this traction that he gained caused him to do another prank, prompting him to do what I mentioned before, which is running off with an elderly lady's dog.
Sorry?
You got a nice dog.
She's lovely, she's.
Gang, whole lot of gang.
This is what Mizzy did as a joke to again please the corrupt TikTok audience that feeds into this. Fortunately, while he self-proclaimed Return the Dog, it really sparked what would be the end of his online career. This was a creator who got canceled before they could even get started. And not only was he ridiculed locally, but he even got in contact with creators from the same niche like Gideon. And Gideon didn't seem to be a fan of what Mizzy was doing.
But
It's gonna go on Firstified.
in a month or 2 from now, this shit gonna be circulating, bro.
My message has been said, and I'm done. I'm tired. I've been up for 2 hours. I've been up for 2 days. Goodbye.
Yo, he left the call.
All this does is give a glimpse at what lengths individuals are willing to go through to be like their favorite creators. Yes, it can be funny, but when it's not funny, it's actually really depressing to watch. Take this creator for an example. This prank he pulled was something actually disgusting. Now, who in their right mind would think that this would be a funny prank? And imagine how uncomfortable the woman must have felt in this position to straight up harass someone, and to document yourself even doing it for a prank is incriminating. But that wasn't the end of his venture. This individual recorded a separate video in which he decides to just steal food for a prank.
There you go. Yeet. Have a nice day.
What's unfortunate is that this seems to be an ongoing trend of messing with fast food workers, as they seem to give the biggest reactions. But honestly, when I worked fast food making minimum wage, I didn't enjoy it at all. I always just wanted my shift to be over. So I'm sure that's how every other worker at this point feels as well. But when you bring a camera to the nearest McDonald's and begin to command and harass individuals doing their job, you kind of set this really negative outlook on yourself, especially when the worker is visually frustrated and you start to piss them off more. Take this clip for example.
Break that camera, you won't be mad. So stop recording, though.
Make my milkshake and chill out. You're not making nothing? Dude, you heard how she talked? I'll go back there myself and make a damn milkshake, mother. I swear to God. Get the out of here, dude, make me this.
Side note, this YouTuber right here smashed Walmart TVs for a prank.
Oh my goodness. Can you help him now?
You see what I mean? People nowadays are really trying to disguise disrespect as either two things, a prank or a joke. Now, let's take a look at the other half of the prank world. Gideon, I think, is a proud example of a more so YouTube-safe menace, though his older content seemed to be more in line with his core values and true menace content. I personally think that he does 98% of things correctly, and while his content does involve bothering people, he never truly hurts or threats people like most of the previous creators mentioned. His pranks aren't the most lighthearted, but for individuals that he might genuinely piss off, he often makes up for it by either apologizing or clearing the air, and sometimes even giving money. I mean, luckily, with his pranks, there's normally no direct issue with people being temporarily angry, and oftentimes people laugh them off. He isn't dehumanizing someone or hurting them. He provides an example of how to properly be a menace. Same as Nico or Milana. He takes the prank genre to another level, more so by pranking people psychologically. His pranks are well planned and at a level that no one else on YouTube touches. Yet at the end of the day, he's not truly hurting other people, but rather embarrassing them without them realizing. And speaking of embarrassment, we have Adrian Harding, who, while I think he is definitely a menace, he seems like he just be vibing, but I don't think he's embarrassing. I think he's great at bringing anyone he interacts with a level of secondhand embarrassment, but overall he's just goofy. And the most I see out of his pranks is him joking. Emphasis on the word joke. Sometimes he might scale structures at Walmart and cause safety hazards, but when he does manage to piss people off, you'll realize that some people just get annoyed easily. He's been consistent with these types of pranks for as long as he's been uploading. He's not on video disrespecting people or stealing from them, he simply just annoys them, and I enjoy his content. Same could be said about Balin Levine and Connell Joseph. I think they both just annoy the mess out of people. But if you notice, the ongoing trend that separates the greats from the new generation is that these creators, which are the most successful in the genre, get you to realize that you don't need to be rude or funny, and you don't necessarily need to risk your life to be funny either. With new pranks coming out like the home invasion prank, I think we all need to pay attention to the shift that's happening that smaller creators are trying to make. What used to be lighthearted and funny is turning into something that can eventually cost someone their life. I mean, we just got out of a horrible generation of pranks where black people and women were exploited, such as through the gold diggers and in the hood type pranks. There is no need to bring this new generation of prank content back down to a level that begins to make even the bigger creators look bad. And all of it is simply for the two drugs that modern kids can't get enough of, called clout and instant gratification.